And the way he looked at me, you're Jamaican.
Yes, that's like a national hero.
Exactly.
Right.
And so he made me do like this, couple of page report. I think I'm like in middle school at the time, right? And I had to do this research on Marcus Garvey, and I appreciate that, but it stopped there. So even as I'm here in the States, my awareness of Martin Luther King Jr., some of these heroes and sheroes, it really came after college.
Wow.
Now, Martin Luther King, you're going to know about it. You're going to know about it. I got a dream.
Push.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the, that's the face and the name that you're going to know.
Right.
In a story that is probably most comfortable for them to tell.
Yes. Yes, especially.
But in that same space, there was never a rhythm or an appetite that I was able to create when it pertained to wanting to know what happened before. And a lot of that was established through our relationship. So my question is, what intrigues you about history to where you want to continuously look into what happened, prior to today?
So I have a story that a buddy of mine, my best friend, when we were in the 6th grade, this is when I really first got introduced to Egypt, and Egypt being actually a part of Africa, and those people that erected that civilization being, Black Africans.
Right.
And me and my teacher got into it. We, she was talking about Mesopotamia and stuff, and I was like, the research that I've conducted says that, some things that occurred in Egypt was prior to, and it was at that point, that was in the 6th grade, that I was like, it's something particular about the stories that they tell us. And it's also something particular about the stories that they tell us that they're not telling the whole story.
Yeah.
And so history's always been taught in silos where everything jumps around, or you go from one thing, you jump over here, you be like, how we get over here?
Right.
How we go from Sumeria to China to back to Africa to India? Like, why are we jumping around? And nobody had a real good chronological, order of history and how things really occurred.
Right.
And so that just sent me on a path, man. And it's still going on today. But, it's a path that, I don't know, it just really started me to really start to delve into the fact that a lot of Black contributions all around the world are left off of that historical register.
Right.
And so in my first book, I remember getting this book in the 8th grade. It was African Origins of Civilization by Cheikh Anta Diop. And come to find out, he's like one of the greats. He did a lot of great things to prove a lot of things that people are still questioning today. Like, I don't even know why we're still questioning this. He proved it in the 60s or whatever. But but that book was like this thick. And it intimidated me. And so I never read the whole thing. I used it as a reference tool, because everybody referenced him. And he had done everything. And so everybody went back to him as the main source. Right. And so it was another book called What They Never Taught You in History Class by Indus Kamit. And even his name, I was like, Indus, that's a river in India. Kush, that's a civilization in Africa. Right. And then Kamit, that's one of the original names of Egypt. And so I was like, this is, okay, let me pick this up. And all his book was a bunch of clips and highlights and clippings of other books proving like all of these things, like creators of mathematics, and they go back to the oldest African, paperists where they, doing, I'm talking about high level mathematics, and it was just a bunch of clippings. So what I did was the clippings that he put, he always had the source. I would go buy those books, and that just started building a library and started thinking. And so when I got to Xavier, I was a biology pre-med major, if you could believe. If you could believe it. Now, the best thing that came out of that is I met my wife. She graduated with a biology degree.
Yes, sir.
But I changed my major first semester of my freshman year and went into history. And my school was known for their biology program.
Right.
Not so much their history program, but I learned from a lot of good individuals, how to continue this, this idea of being a historian, and what you want to bring across to people. And so I've been running ever since.
I can see because there's definitely the reality of not having a full picture.
Yes.
Right. And, even when you think about a circle, it's 360 degrees. But when you think about someone's perspective on that circle, it's going to be limited just based off of the fact that they don't have eyes behind them.
Yes.
Right. But unfortunately, we've seen stories to where, now you saw that, you just ain't say nothing.
Yes. Yeah, so you realize that now more in American history.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think there's no think. A lot of what is being discussed today is being brought to light because of tools that we have to see what happened. Instead of us having to go to a library,
Right.
we can Google it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me check the source. Because there's a few things that you shared that were actually some free jewelry, and I hope y'all picked it up. Charles looked at a particular piece of information in a book, very informative, saw the source, and then picked up the book of the source.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so instead of looking at the information at its face value, let me see where that came from, and then let me pick up that original source to validate what I just picked up in this book.
Young people, listen to that. Did you hear that? you broke it down way better than I did, but that's an old tool.
You're right.